Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Monday Huddle on the Educational AD podcast. Now, if you're new to this series, these are all segments that I've created for most of our 5 years of the podcast. I've really tried to focus on our guests and their great content, but I frequently was asked by our listeners, "Hey, when are we going to hear some of your best practices and things that you did over your 41-year career?" So the Monday Huddle was created. This is going to be segment number 4. Our first 5 episodes are all focusing on parent concerns, questions that parents often bring to athletic directors. So we'll get to episode number 4 in just a minute. The topic is going to be sports specialization versus multi-sport participation. Before we do that, we want to give a shout out to all of our great sponsors. Now, again, if you're new to the podcast, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies, and I encourage you to check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Monday Huddle, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Athletic Surveys. Now, if you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents, your coaches, your student athletes, you're really missing out. At my school, we use surveys for everything. And the cool thing is the information that would come back almost always over the top positive. We still got to hear from those squeaky wheel parents, but the surveys allowed us to hear their concerns, typically address them before they turned into something big. But having all of that positive data was incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with one of those frustrated parents, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that, like I said, lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record board for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby or your main school hallway, it's going to be a magnet for kids, for coaches. How about sponsors? The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program. And another cool thing, while they were completing their master's, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is one of those platforms you're going to use every day, but their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com and don't forget to mention the podcast. We want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, I made sure we were a Huddle school, and our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just love the platform. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with tremendous success, and so will you. They've got a lot of other great platforms, but if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it, and it's Snap Raise. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Your school is doing some great things, and Gipper allows you to create newsletters, post text, video, graphics. The content is so advanced that you can truly set it and forget about it. But it's also so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com for more information, and don't forget to mention the podcast. And we want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown is still changing the game with their suite of solutions for things like digital ticketing, big surprise. How about fee-free fundraising, website construction? Got to see it to believe it. Whether you're a principal or an athletic director, Hometown makes it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. That's hometown.com. And as always, don't forget to mention the podcast. And we don't want to forget about Sideline Interactive. You heard me say before that probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo today. So, welcome back to episode 4 of the Monday Huddle's first segment, Parent Concerns. This is going to be, as I said, the fourth segment, and it talks about specialization versus multi-sport. Now, all of these Monday Huddles are taken from presentations that I made to our parents or to parents at schools where I was making a presentation. They also include some updated statistics and information. And as always, if you hear something that you like, please feel free to use it at your school or share it with another AD or even another parent. So here we go. Specialization versus multi-sport, helping your athlete choose wisely. I want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. And I want to start off by sharing this is something that my mom and dad were never asked when I was growing up, nor did they ever give one moment of thought to this particular question. Should my kid, should Jake, focus on just one sport? That question just didn't exist 50 years ago when I was in high school, or even 40 years ago. Back then, kids played what was in season. And when the season changed, so did the sport. Now, today, it's a very different conversation. Maybe your child has shown some talent in another sport. Maybe it's volleyball or baseball or soccer or tennis. And there's talk about private lessons, travel tournaments, or even year-round training. It can really be an exciting time, but it's also one that deserves some thoughtful and, let's say, some professional consideration. So tonight we're going to try to unpack the debate around sports specialization versus multi-sport participation. I'm going to try to share with you some data, hear from some experts, along with some athletes, and talk through how you as parents, along with our coaches and maybe even me, can help guide the kids with wisdom, support, and balance. Now let's begin with some definitions. Sport specialization usually means an athlete commits to just one sport, often training year-round, and excludes other sports or other types of training. The American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine defines an early sport specializer as someone who chooses a single sport before age 10, participates in it more than 9 months out of the year, and excludes other sports. Many athletes will begin specializing as early as age 8 or 9, often due to well-meaning encouragement from coaches, clubs, parents, sometimes even a scholarship being dangled as a possibility. The thinking is that the specialization allows for more practice and game reps to help increase skill levels and also gaining an advantage over those kids who are not playing their sport year-round. Now, on the flip side, multi-sport athletes engage in 2 or more sports during the year. By doing this, they're training different muscle groups, they gain a broader athletic IQ, and they're often more socially integrated because they played on more teams with different kids, different coaches, which in itself is a great way to improve performance. Here's an example you probably have heard of before. A guy named Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, the NFL most valuable player and Super Bowl champ. He played baseball, basketball, and football all through high school. And he credits his quick decision-making and sometimes unusual throwing angles to his experience on the basketball court and on the baseball diamond. Now, having a dad who was a major league pitcher probably helped a little bit too, but the diversity of sports that he played also played a key role in his development. And it's not just Mahomes. NBA star Damian Lillard ran track. Olympic gymnast Simone Biles also did dance and swimming. These athletes didn't specialize early, and they're among the best in the world. Now let's shift to some data because there's quite a lot to consider. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, early sport specialization is strongly linked with a higher risk, as high as 70%, of overuse injuries like stress fractures, tendonitis, elbow, shoulder issues that are common in throwing sports, increased levels of burnout, sometimes depression and anxiety by young athletes, and a higher dropout rate, citing many athletes who specialize early are out of sports entirely by the age of 16. A 2022 study in the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine followed youth athletes over a 5-year period, and it found that kids who specialized in one sport before age 12 were 2 to 3 times more likely to suffer major injuries and were more than 50% more likely to quit sports by the end of high school. Now, why does this happen? There's 2 reasons. Physiological stress, repeating the same motions like pitching, jumping, swinging, serving in volleyball, without taking adequate rest, which leads to breakdown of the tissues. There's also psychological fatigue, the constant pressure of games, the lack of variety in training, and sometimes the feeling that the fun has been replaced by obligation. We've got to get to that next tournament. We got to get to that next game. Now compare that to multi-sport athletes. Data from the NCAA shows that 91% of D1 athletes, D1, were also multi-sport athletes in high school. And in football, the number is even higher. Over 95% of D1 football players played more than one sport in high school. These are the players that are getting scholarships, that are getting NIL deals. If multi-sport participation gets that for them, what's multi-sport participation going to do for an athlete who's maybe not D1, but trying to make a D2 or D3 roster? It's only going to make them better. And it's not just performance, it's health. In 2023, a report from the Aspen Institute's Project Play found that multi-sport athletes reported higher levels of enjoyment, were 30% less likely to suffer overuse injuries, and showed greater long-term motivation to remain active well into adulthood. Now, you got to admit, those stats are compelling, but they all point to one conclusion. Early specialization is not a guaranteed pathway to success. It can, in fact, be a detour or even a dead end. So how can we, parents, coaches, athletic directors, support our athletes through these choices? First, start with passion and not pressure. Ask your kid what they love. Are they excited to go to practice? Are they the ones driving this? Do they talk about teammates and games with joy? Passion, not pressure, should be driving the decision to commit more seriously to one sport. And if they really love that one sport, let's do it. But let's do it with wisdom. If the motivation is coming from an external source, like, say, scholarships or coaches' expectations, or even parent expectations, it can quickly become unhealthy. Whatever decision they make, encourage cross-training. It doesn't mean less commitment. It means smarter development. A soccer player who runs track is going to gain more stamina and speed. A basketball player who plays football builds toughness and agility. These skills complement one another and create better athletes overall. You also want to make sure you're protecting their downtime. Recovery isn't being lazy. It's a strategic part of a training program. Rest helps prevent injuries, supports mental health, and actually improves athletic performance. Elite athletes across every major sport have built-in off seasons. Your 12, 14-year-old should also have built-in off seasons. Also, watch out for warning signs. If your kid starts expressing dread about practices or talks about quitting or complains about chronic pain, those are red flags. Sometimes the bravest parenting move is to step in and say, hey, let's take a break. Here's the bottom line. Your child has time. Let them be a kid. Let them explore. Let them experiment. Let them grow into their love for a game. Most professional athletes didn't commit to one sport until later in high school or even in college. But what they did commit to was competing, learning, and enjoying the journey. And here's one more thing. Even if your child never plays at the next level, the life lessons they'll gain from being on different teams, teamwork, discipline, resilience, those are the real trophies. Those are the real victories. And those lessons don't require a scholarship, but the actual payoff or the return on investment is just as huge. Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all path for youth sports or high school sports. But we do know this: balance works best. Whether your kid ends up as a starter, a captain, or a substitute, or just someone who looks back on their sports days with a little bit of pride and a lot of happiness, the best gift that we can give them is the room to grow, not just as athletes, but as whole people. Encourage them to play and make sure that they're playing with joy, because in the end, joy, along with balance, is what wins. Thanks again for listening to the Monday Huddle on the Educational AD. And if you found this helpful, please share it with another athletic director or a sports parent or a coach who might benefit from the reminder. And as always, keep showing up, keep supporting, and keep growing the game. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast. And one more time, we want to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors. We want to thank Gipper, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, Snap, Raise, Huddle. We want to thank Athletic Surveys, Sideline Interactive, Home Campus, Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration, and Hometown. We appreciate you listening. We'll see you next time on the Monday Huddle on the Educational AD Podcast.